Today we're going to be talking about how our relationships with our parents affect our relationships as adults. And this is to get a better understanding of what our default behaviors are in relationships, whether good or bad, what effects do they have, and whether or not we want to decide to either let them work in our favor or maybe decide if it's something that we want to modify. And this video is for anyone that wants to get a better understanding of themselves and to have a better understanding of their past, current, and potentially future relationships. So here's a question for you. Have you ever heard that one way or another, there was a need that our parents didn't meet growing up, and this need becomes a need that we look to fill in adult relationships? I think it's a pretty commonly known theme that how our relationships are with our parents kind of shape how our relationships are with our romantic partners. And this need that we look to fill in romantic partners, I'd like to point out that it's not to any fault of our parents. I think that even, the greatest parents, they will do their best based off what they were given and what they were taught and what they know. But I think with any relationship, specifically with romantic, we can't expect one person or one relationship, for example, our relationship with our parents, to meet every single need of ours. So even if a parent was physically there, they might have not been emotionally there for you. They might have provided all the core physical things that you think of for support, such as a roof over your head, food and water to eat, clothes to wear. You don't eat water, but you know what I mean. A sense of physical safety, an investment in your education and your physical well-being. For me personally, my parents provided all the physical things, all the physical types of support as a child, and I'm very fortunate for having that support. And although I seem like I'm really in touch with my feelings now, as a child I wasn't really. I was kind of discouraged from feeling any sort of intense emotion. If I had gone through a breakup and came home crying, my mom would support me, but then she would kind of discourage me from feeling that sort of way and just tell me to stop crying and to look at the more positive things. Essentially, I was just kind of told to ignore my feelings. Again, to no fault of my parents. I think that's just the culture that they were used to growing up. I think coming to the States as immigrants and to a new land where they're starting on their own, they kind of had to adopt that mentality. But that was a need that was unmet as a child. So something that I learned from a Teal Swan video, which I will link probably up here, is a concept called the dupe pattern. So when we have a need that's unmet as a child, we develop these coping mechanisms, and that's sort of the image that we portray, that we let other people see. So for me personally, because I was kind of taught my emotions were something to be ignored, my coping mechanism was to pretend like everything was okay. And that was the image that I portrayed as an adult, that I portray as an adult. I don't let people really see when I'm super upset, or at least show that I'm upset. And I've kind of developed that reputation of being this calm, cool, collected demeanor. And that's how everyone else sees me, but typically my partner will see the real me. It's the inner child that craves that emotional support. So much so to a point where I start to rely less on myself and more on that person for emotional support, which creates an imbalance in a relationship. I even noticed my behavior to a point where I would start to react to things in a more exaggerated way just because I felt like I needed to not be okay to get that support. And I've ended relationships because I didn't feel like I had enough support or had enough check-ins throughout the day. So this was a pattern of behavior that I began to notice in my relationships and wanted to figure out what the root cause of it was. So if any of this resonates with you, or you've seen it before in maybe your own relationships or your friends' relationships or your family's relationships, know that it's okay and that you're not alone. We're all human. No one's perfect. And the greatest thing that you can do for yourself in order to maintain that sort of growth mindset, to always try and be better every single day, is to acknowledge these patterns and to acknowledge these shortcomings, because we can't foster great and meaningful relationships without first identifying, potential friction points, potential sources of issues or problems. So that's really the first step here. And what I have done to kind of address this pattern of behavior that I noticed that I have is, first of all, being cognizant of it, being honest with myself and being honest with my partner about what I tend to do, and developing steps to work through them, to talk through them, so that we can have, a healthier functioning relationship. So for some reason, I find that I'm usually happiest when I'm single, but when I'm in a relationship, I start to exaggerate or catastrophize. I make the situation worse than it actually is, because I crave that emotional support, because I kind of have like that hero complex in my head, because I'm trying to find a way to fill that need that wasn't met as a kid. That's how I rationalize it, at least. But yeah, now that I know of these tendencies, and maybe, in a different scenario, you might know or realize these tendencies, we can start to better address them, because we can't solve a problem that we don't know how to address because we don't know what it is. So yeah, kind of a bit of rambling for this video. My computer decided to just completely give me the blue screen of death, so I've been going off of it from memory. I usually use notes for videos, but hopefully you get the message. We can learn a lot about ourselves and where we're going based off where we've been, where we come from, and relationships are no different. So if you found this video helpful, please be sure to hit the like and the subscribe with the bell notification. It really helps the channel out, and I very much appreciate it. So until next time, I will talk to you later. Take care.